You know, when I start preparing for a homily for the upcoming Sunday, I try to go back to the original texts from the scriptures, whatever they happen to be. It's not that my Hebrew or Greek are perfect, but they taught me how to read and write in these biblical languages. So I try to decipher, is there any significant difference between the text as is and our English rendition as you hear it from the pulpit? And most of the times there is barely any difference. But sometimes, like today, there's a huge difference. So allow me. One of my major issues with English language, and I have many, but one of them is that you have only one way of saying you. Singular and plural are the same. You, as I say, you, Jeffrey, and you, as the church, it's only one word, the same word, right? It makes no sense in any other languages. Every language that I have come across have different singular you and different plural you, and they are not exchangeable whatsoever. You would fail any class in Spanish, Polish, English, French, any other language that can come to your mind if you used plural you as singular or vice versa. But for some reason, God knows why. Why? In English, you say, you, my friend, and you, my friends. It makes no sense. It doesn't, trust me. And then, when I open the Bible and the Scriptures, it even makes less sense. Today's Leviticus, Hebrew, says, be holy as your God is holy. Bear no hatred in your heart toward your brother or sister, right? You, your God, holy, it must be about me, right? It isn't. It's not about you, it's about you. You see? It's about you, plural you. The Bible doesn't say, you, Debbie, must be holy as your God is holy, but you, the people of God, must be holy as yours, God is holy. You see a big difference? It makes a theological difference. Not only linguistic, but even theology. Now, the Hebrew you is either at or ata. At for masculine, ata for feminine. And I'm sure I put in the accent the wrong way, but in every language my accent is the wrong way. But in this text of Leviticus chapter 19, the you is atem. It's not at, it's not ata, it's atem, meaning plural you. Your God is holy, and you must be holy, not you, Diane. There is no chance for you to be holy. But we, you, the people of God, must be holy. And when I joke about Diane, it applies to me as well. I cannot be holy on my own. I am not much better than Diane is. Maybe I drink less. But on Sundays, on weekdays I drink much more than you do. But I work weekends. So I, on my own, cannot achieve holiness. I, on my own, am not able to be holy or perfect, as the gospel says. It is we, it is yous, as they say in South St. Louis, right? Maybe we should adopt that way of talking. It's yous that must be holy. English is so limiting, and then we go to the second reading from St. Paul to the Corinthians. It's the same story. Now, in English translation, it says, "Don't you know that you are a temple of God, and that Spirit of God dwells within you?" And we think, oh, it's about me again. It isn't. It is not about you, it's about yous. It's about plural you. And again, in Greek, the you singular is esou or eseis, and this text uses omin, plural you. You are the temple of God, it's plural you. You are not a temple of God on your own. How can you be a temple if you are just one brick? It's when we come together, you put brick next to a brick next to a brick, that's when yous build a temple. We are called to be holy. We are called to be the temple of God. It is when we come together that we are holy, that we are becoming the temple of God, not as individuals, not as me, but as us. You know, in Polish, which I love teaching, every Tuesday, 4 p.m., in Polish, it is impolite to start a sentence with I. You get smacked with a ruler if you start a sentence with I. It is a big faux pas in public speaking to say, I have come here to do this. No. In Polish language, we don't start sentences with I, and never do we capitalize I. In English, I is always big I. No matter is the beginning of the sentence, the middle, or the end, it's always big I. There's a huge difference in mentality between English-speaking countries and everybody else. If you go to a mass in any other language this weekend, people will have no confusion whatsoever when they read from the pulpit, because they will say, yous are the temple of God, in Polish, Spanish, French, any other language. They will have no problem understanding that you is plural you. But we do, and it's not your fault. As Lady Gaga says, you've been born that way. You've been raised that way, with I always being capitalized, with us thinking it must be about me. There is something about American pioneer spirit, and it is a good thing that we treasure our individualism so much. That every person has his or her unique dignity and rights, and our laws respect those rights of every individual. So there is some positives to that individualism. But when it comes to theology, when it comes to building a community, when it comes to politics, it's killing us. Because I will not turn the other cheek. If you hate me, I will hate you. If you smear my name in the papers, I will smear yours. I cannot allow my name to be destroyed. My word has to be the last word. If we want to be truly a temple of God, if we want truly to be holy. It needs to be us, not I. We have to start thinking and praying and behaving as it is all about us, not all about me. It's a teenage way of thinking. Did you ever have a teenage son or daughter? Yes. It's normal to be focused on me when you are 15 or 16. But when you are in your 40s, grow up. It is about us. Being a church, being holy is about us. We cannot truly be the temple of the Spirit as long as we hate each other, as long as we keep striking each other on the cheeks. You know, every day we open the newspapers, we turn on our TVs, and we all ask ourselves, when will this stop, right? You think, is there an end to this craziness? The answer is yes, there is. There is when you stop returning slap for a slap, when you stop returning hatred for hatred, when yous become holy, when you become truly a temple of God, not as individuals, but as a community. I know that when you go home, you forget everything that has been said in the church, and that's fine. But when you go home this weekend, remember that English is not the only language. Remember that our way of thinking is not the only way of thinking. Remember that maybe people in South St. Louis got it right. Not about the zinc, but about use. Because the Bible is clear when it speaks of holiness, when it speaks of us being the temple of God. This is the only way to stop this craziness in the world. When we start thinking of ourselves in terms of community, as a church, as neighborhoods, as the country, as countries, as Americas, as a human family. When we switch our mindset from individualism to biblical plural you, that's when the craziness stops.